Oh, hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome. This is Dr. Marcellina M.OPARAOJI leading the discussions today on another important topic that we uh, feel that it's one of the reasons why everybody is seeing Africans in diaspora as excelling in what they do. And we are stepping on those accolades to share with the world what we think are the reasons why we excel, because that's a lot of those are the questions that come to me personally since I wrote my book. And they're asking, why is it that wherever you see Africans in schools and everywhere, they're doing well? They're doing well in jobs and all that. And I have shared a little bit about the immigration of Africans, Nigerians. Some people think because there's a few of us out here that we are many, we actually form the smallest percentage. Africans form the smallest, among the smallest percentage of immigrants or immigration in diaspora, especially in the US, unlike what people think. But the few that are here are making a good impact. And also, there have been cases of not so good impact, but we're not going to that negative aspect. You know, those who know me know I like the positive vibes. So we stay on that course and we can always adjust our thoughts as we go because we also point out the aspects that we think we could modify or work on to bring us to actually the brink where we need to be. So the last time we talked about character building, and then we talked about things we avoid. And that one, it was episode 16 where we called it, uh, termed it, actually phrased it in a way like trouble is not infectious, it is contracted in the way that you stay away from trouble, you stay away from you, and African parents believe in that. So they are cautious of where and when and how their children mingle with others, or especially their fellow children, because they know the impact of peer pressure, what it could do. But today we're going to another topic altogether. We're going to talk about another area where we think Africans, Nigerians especially, excel, or what make them tick, and why they are looked upon as, a group that is progressive or doing well in diaspora, and that is education. Okay, so one of those aspects is encouraging our children to get a good education. Why? Again, because hard work pays off. We immigrant parents believe hard work pays off. Again, this is in response to explaining why Africans, and in this case, I've shared that I am going to dwell in Nigeria, Igbo land, and that's my makeup. So we're going to try to do that. And please, if you are a fellow African, dig deeper into your area and find out what has worked for you. And the reason why we're doing it is to propagate what we already have instead of losing it. Again, as generations change, the demographics change, the cultural aspects or the upbringing or child raising ideas that we are passing down seem to get a little bit weaker as we go from generation to generation. It's nobody's fault, it's just what happens. The generation of Africans that came down, that are the baby boomers, for example, they held on strictly to a lot of what their parents taught them, and they try to use that to teach their own children. Now, those children are having their own children, and um, the culture and everything and the styles seem to water down a little bit. But the big question is, how do we hold on to continue to really progress or stay at this top echelon that has been, we have been put by everybody else around the world. So we believe that character building was one of them. Staying away from trouble is one of them. Now, education, we all believe, and we are basing this book or this discussion on the book that I wrote a few years back, Raising an African Child in America, from my own perspective as an immigrant Nigerian mom. So let's see what happens. Um, go to the next slide. So as we saw in part of the history, I'll give you a little bit of what I call statistics, and it must be changed or have changed by now as things change. But according to a 2006 census data, 37% of Nigerians in the US have bachelor's degree by that time. 17% held master's degrees, and 4% had doctorates. And that is in contrast. It's same of the same status where it showed only 19% of white Americans having bachelor's degrees, 8% holding masters, and only 1% holding doctorate. And this was also updated in 2008. But like I said, I didn't want to go delve into those statistics because I know today it's even higher. As immigrants, whether you are from Ghana, Nigeria, or wherever, West Indies, I mean, immigrant blacks, make up 41% of Ivy League schools. And this is again according to a study in 2007 by Princeton and University of Pennsylvania researchers. Okay, so one needs to realize that some people already armed, some of these Africans were armed with some degrees before they came over. But when they came and they couldn't leave again, they decided to really get some more education. So let's look at on the screen here what is being said, that many African immigrants, especially those from Nigeria, are very keen on their children obtaining professional careers. And so, right from the start, these parents guide them towards adults but clear, predictable professional degrees like engineering, nursing, medicine, law, and all that, with lucrative outcomes. They are hoping that when they complete, they will find suitable jobs that will also sustain them. And this is not just in the US. Back home, parents, a whole lot of parents, and I know that in the southeast of Nigeria and also in the west, a lot of parents really believed in educating their children. So a lot of money was put in education of the children. Some areas lag behind a little bit of the country, but for those in the west and east part, they really put a lot of efforts. These parents believe the job of teaching the child is a collaborative effort from them and also for the four walls of the institutions, just like it was when they were growing up and observed their parents, what they did to help them. Okay. These the children also, on the other hand, already know that if they obtain education, they will also be able to, on the other hand, help the parents when they're getting old. So it's a kind of pay forward. You help me, then, symbiotic kind of living at the end, because the African parents believe in bringing up their kids as their parents have done for them, and in same token, they take care of the parents when they're getting old. And these parents in diaspora are hoping that their children will do the same but we don't know yet. Okay, some of them are doing their best. Some of the children, don't get me wrong, you know, some again because of mix of culture, are not getting the same results. Okay, so these foreign-born immigrant parents from poor continents raising their children in America believe that only when these children are given the opportunity to obtain a decent education will they have any good hope of entering the labor market and becoming self-sufficient. So self-sufficiency is a big concern for these parents, immigrant parents. But with education, these children, will come a step closer to the social and economic equality within America and the global world. So it's not just in America, it's in Britain, it's in Australia and everywhere, wherever you find these immigrants. The ideal that these immigrant parents are looking for by way of education is to develop a well-rounded, independent, and successful young adult acting as a role model in their communities. This is why they want to become, ne father, ne doctor, doctor's mom. My child is a lawyer, my child is an engineer. Immigrant people want to do that a whole lot. Okay? They sacrifice all they have and more to send these children to the schools they think can provide the best education there is. So, whether it's secular or religious, and in most cases, they bear the cost. You know, we also see the children themselves borrowing a lot for education. Many a times, these parents go without life's luxuries to see that these children go to school and good schools. Okay. Um, this is what it is. A child in such family might look at this as unfair, that they don't have the everyday things. So they don't have the simple toys and all that. In comparison with their peers out there, the African parent doesn't care about those. They really care about the saving money for education, and don't they care that the children are bent um, um, on completing their assignments instead of going to hang out in the mall or somewhere else out there. Okay. Um, Despite all this strictness, though, most of the children have eventually begun to understand why it is important to focus. So after all this browbeating and saying that, some of them started understanding where their parents want them to, hunker down and study to get to the goal. Yeah. Um, to the extent now that when a child sees, for example, that Emeka in the Obi family and in Didi, for example, in the Koro family, are all held to such high standards of high work, and that they are being praised as A students, these children will endeavor to keep up with the competition to make him or herself and the family proud. So, in many occasions, one will, example that has happened, where I sit close to these Nigerian American children having discussions with their peers. No one amongst them wants to be looked down on or wants to feel unaccomplished. So if they are not sharing their prowess in sciences, they are doing same in sports or other aspects of positive school life. It becomes a mini competition like that. I will often hear each of them trying to tell the others that they are doing their best to remain at whatever level others are. So this is the little values that were implanted in these young ones growing up, and now they see it. So for those very few hyphenated Nigerians in diaspora or those at the homestead who could not succeed at such above mentioned professional levels, the doctors, the pharmacists, the information technologists, the lawyers, um, they are um, um, despite all the help and guidance, they then are channeled towards equally good vocational and technical careers and skills. Example, the automobile repairs, cabinetry, constructions, and all that. One will also observe those that are struggling, even at this level. And these are also channels towards something that will make them, be able to be productive in the community. Okay. And again, going back to the uh, proverb that I cited before, even with saying out of trouble, the parents apply that also here, that when you capture a snake's head, the rest of the body becomes a rope. So if you get their brain, get them out of trouble, get them into schools, good schools, and get them to be focused and productive, when the brain is right, the rest, everything falls through. Like I always tell my girls who are my mentees, I always, give them this quotation that seek you first the kingdom of books, and everything else will be added unto you, which is the truth. It's a biblical quote that was manipulated, but get it. And these girls listen that when you have the education, that gives you everything else that you can think of in most cases if you focus and follow your course. Okay. This usually means that when one has dealt with the central focus, every other thing will either become easier to handle or just falls in place. The central focus of them is education. As this grows with the child, other social, physical, emotional, and special attributes, if any, grow. Okay. Okay. A friend of mine told me her mother summarized this proverb to her, um, in the way that I just paraphrased to you guys, to seek first the kingdom of books, and then everything else will be added. So go figure. Most And it's worthy of mentioning here that most Nigerian immigrant fathers will work around the clock to take care of their family's financial needs, but it is the mothers that witness, the day in, day out of these children's well-being, ensuring that the children's college entrance exam applications are started on time, not just applying to any schools, but renowned ones for meaningful degrees. So with higher expectations coming from both parents, the children, they sacrifice the time and the energy to review college choices. Even when a child wants to join his or her friends in this school, they have decided to go do what they have to do, but these parents will make sure that they are focused more than just going to play. Okay. um Majority of these parents are keen on these aspects of their children's education. And we, why do they care that much? Because they believe that if a child washes his hands, he could eat with the kings. And that's an African proverb. It's not something we make up, it is something that we have seen um, get results. These children do well and they are counted in the community. The village we talked about, it's what they also grow up in and they contribute to the village. So um, the village guides them so that they will contribute back to the village. Okay. Um, I would also mention that when the African immigrants, most of them came first, in a way, education became, remember, most of them came to go to school and get their degrees and, run back home to help develop their communities. But circumstances stopped most of them. And so, like Amadou Jackie Kaba, who is a professor in one of the colleges, would put it, that in a way, education became a catch-22 because of immigration laws that forced, most of these parents to stay back in school. The funny thing is that they end up getting doctorate at the age of 29, because the idea was that if you stayed in school, immigration would leave you alone. So that happened for a while. And that's why you have all these people now with degrees, some of them not having jobs, but they have a lot of degrees. For whatever reasons, though, this accomplishment is not heralded by many here, especially in America. The step of few engaged in fraudulent money scams um, has been, what people have heard and known again, mostly for, held against Africans or Nigerian Americans. These few that have, brought this dark spot on their fellow Africans or Nigerians are very few in number. And why they do that, many people forgot the good aspects and the accomplishments of, these hyphenated um, Nigerians or Africans. Yeah. Nigerians are the only Black ethnicity listed among the 8 social groups that have a cultural edge when it comes to succeeding and climbing the ranks in America. Um, Again, this is where we have um, um, somebody like Amy. Amy Chua is who we call the Tiger Mom. In her book, The Triple Package, she gained same notoriety with her controversial 2011 parental memoir titled Battle Hymn of the Tiger Mother. She holds the same perspective in which she exalts the Chinese culture for its ability to rear high achieving children in America. In her memoir, Chinua teams up with her Jewish husband, Jed Rubenfeld, to add 7 more cultures to her all-star list. One of those cultures is the Nigerian culture. The other one, Jewish culture, Indian, Iranian, Lebanese culture, Cuban, and Mormons. So that is a good news that we are held along the same line as those other ones that are achievers as well. This recognition is an honor to all Nigerian immigrant parents and their Nigerian American children because, according to Chua, one of their qualities of all-star list of high achieving children in America is having the ability to control one's impulses for immediate gratification. Again, that's one thing we're not for. We don't go for immediate gratification. And the other one is being able to endure intense periods of hardship and austerity to reach the dream goal. So there you have it, that those are some of the attributes that we really cherish that many people don't talk about except the bad aspect, but we have those. The emphasis on education and being ranked on the A list star of rearing high achieving children is really great. I applaud that. Nigerian Americans are very, very represented, like I said, in Ivy League schools. They are the recipients of the U.S. government meritorious awards It's not giving there's no quota system for them most of the time. They work hard for that. In educational achievements, scholarship awards, you name it. They occupy high positions in great and places and respected organizations and companies all over the country and all over the world. So that's what education brings to us. According to demographics, again, an ethnic communities publication, for example, in 2012, had this to share that the Nigerian immigrant working population is in the business, in science, in arts, management occupations, and they work under educational services and healthcare, social assistant industries, you name it, at a very high percentage. The median household income as of 2012 was 59,500, which is significantly higher than the national average of 51,369. This is in the US alone. And part of their successful assimilation could be attributed to the fact that English is their official language. So if your child, as we say, okay, we encourage you to also teach your children the local languages or their ethnic languages, English language that we learn from, kindergarten, it's really wonderful. This will really make anyone very proud, and we are proud of that. So the question then remains, then what? We have all these. Then what? What do we do with all these accolades? And that is where many people really kick us a little bit. Said, yeah, you are all this and all that, but then show me more. According to Tefa Ula Lisa, a well-known commentator on current affairs, she had this to say: it is perplexing that many Nigerian Americans have not found useful employment or are unemployed after obtaining all the prestigious education. There are physicians and PhD holders who have resorted to doing janitorial work as a result. There are many cases of accountants driving cabs, etc. And this is the truth. Okay. We, as personally, I think we also need to look back and deeply review our achievements in view of outcomes of these educational performances. Where we have succeeded a lot in raising children with high educational achievement, some others have raised some concerns. Despite the stride in education made by many African immigrants, including Nigerian Americans, discrimination still colors the prospects for employment. So, for example, a study in 2010, employment data by Economic Policy Institute showed that ethnic groups, Black Black immigrants, carried the highest unemployment rate of all foreign-born workers. Remember, we talked about the Iranians, the Indians, and Jews and all that. That's the list, the A list, and Nigerians. But you find that when you break it down, when it comes to employment, the Black immigrants are those that are higher on unemployment table. So I believe that in today's growing global economy, Nigerian immigrant parents must not just insist on raising their children on old known professions of medical, legal, and all that, but must encourage the children to expand their horizon in manufacturing, sales, entrepreneurship, and investments. These are also careers, I believe, that are transferable to other parts of the world as the ones parents recommend. I was telling this story the other day of um, when it comes to graduation period, those young ones that I mentor, and some of the time they grumble through their degrees, and as soon as they finish, they're auntie, hey, I graduated. I just, finished my law school. Or can you imagine somebody who spent a whole lot of money becoming a medical doctor and then says, now I can give my mom and my dad the certificate and go do what I want to do? That is scary because they have wasted time and money to get the degrees that their parents had wished for them to have and that they didn't have much interest in. Now they are going to waste all that, put them aside, and go do what they have to do. Okay? It prevails back home, not just in the US, in in homestead, what I call it. Um, just try addressing somebody without their titles, and you will have an angry individual. Okay. Where you have mom is a PhD holder, dad is an MD, and they have three sons and two daughters. Two of the sons obtained engineering degrees, the third an accountant, and the girl a legal practitioner, for example. The question everyone keeps asking the parent is then, do you mean you are both doctors and none of your children will be addressed as one? That is one thing that is killing us. We like the big name, the doctor this and that. So what do you do when the children do not think it is really necessary to be a doctor, this or doctor that? That is the question. Okay? Um, Even in diaspora, most of the Nigerian immigrants, for example, they like the titles. They have worked really hard to obtain academic titles like doctor, professor, barrister, this, and they somehow feel incomplete if their children do not follow same steps. And what we are doing is taking their own identity from them without knowing it and placing ours. And some of these parents are people who tried but couldn't accomplish the same thing they're pushing their children to become. So what we're doing in this aspect is looking at the other flip side of the coin. We have achieved, we have done that, but how happy are these children getting what you are asking them to do? And how are they applying that? Because once you love what you do, then the application is easy. When you really achieve something that was you were pushed into, it's really then not easy to apply that. So that's the story here. There is no doubt that in today's world, though, where there are thriving athletes, students starting billion-dollar businesses in college, successful musicians, etc., a very few Nigerian Americans have made the mark, except in maybe sports. We don't see, and now music maybe, but we don't see a lot of them doing new innovations in building new investment companies and all that, or really creating something new that is not there before. That is the aspect that we would like really to focus. Nigerian Americans, for example, are educated and smart. They must strive forward or moving forward to careers that promote creativity and innovation. This is my own wish for our children, because we have moved from the era of build on what others do that to becoming visionaries. You got to step forward. Um, Breakthroughs are there for people to embark on. They have excelled academically, our children, but then what? Okay. All their parents' guides and directions have helped them to embrace diverse cultures, succeeded in gaining high level education, in sometimes professionalism. And the concern, though, is that when one looks around to look at the list of those who have broken new grounds in innovation, like I said before, business venture breakthroughs, grand inventions in medicine, and other areas of their chosen professions, the African immigrant, whether in diaspora or outside or hyphenated, are still not there yet. We need to get there. The breakthroughs, the students who have been able to do that are actually most of the time children of laissez-faire parents, what we call laissez-faire parents. Okay, so to tidy this up, again we go to the summary where it's again photo speak. When we have guided them, again back to my picture, we need to let them flourish. Use their own thought. It's okay to sit with this child and say, what are you really good at? We see in the internet sometimes some jokes and some skits showing how Nigerian moms, especially the moms, like do this, or you're not going to do that, or you want them to say my child is a rap artist. That's their talent. Expose them to so many things so that then they can make a choice. That's the freedom of the child thinking. And sometimes we are guiding them. Most of the time, we should guide them. And guiding them doesn't mean pull them back from where they're going, but to ask questions. And that is what I do personally with my mentees. Once they ask their question, I'm like, okay, question upon questions. At the end, they see this, light bulb go off in front of their eyes. I was like, oh, so if you are having a career, you're looking at doing this in the next 5 years, where would you be with that? Did you look at the job market? Is that your talent, or is it something you're wasting on? Is it because your friend wanted to do that? Is that what is taking you? So we are dealing with young ones with really big peer pressure that they're listening to you, they listen to their friends and all that. They should focus. Okay. They are small human beings, but they also think, and they know when you're asking them the big questions. Okay. What will be the harm in asking our Nigerian children what their dreams are instead of imposing ours on them? Where does culture stop and common sense begin? That's the big question that the children keep asking. When do we realize our children are not just Nigerians, but Americans as well, or British as well, or Canadian as well? Huh? Should one culture be heavier than the other in the life of a growing Nigerian American child, or British American child, or British Nigerian child? I don't know. If yes, which one should be? Should they be more Nigerian than more Americans? Or should they really enjoy the world they now find themselves of multicultural, where they have so much going, and yet have a focus on their own culture, where their parents, where their ancestry is? If neither is, how do we help them balance these cultures that they have come to inherit? One of the things I keep reminding our young ones is that you are very lucky you have dual citizenship. Don't forget that. But you are a son or daughter of the globe. You are a world child. Get the best of every world out there, but focus on also get all that. But also don't forget, don't drop the other aspect that is your ancestry, since everybody else is looking for the ancestry. So Nigerian African children in diaspora and otherwise are educated and smart. They must strive moving forward to careers that promote creativity and innovations some more. Many of you hear me always calling out, think outside the box. And that means, what is it that somebody else is not thinking about? What has somebody else not done? Are you going to follow the pack? It's whatever everybody else is doing is what you're doing. Of course, when you step outside the box, people will talk you down. People will tell you why you shouldn't do X, Y, Z. You may fail, but That's the beginning of wisdom, because you get up again and you try some other things. There's never a dull moment. Open yourself up to possibilities. So Nigerian American children, for example, have excelled anywhere else, but we need them to think. How do you leverage all the good things that have been given to you all over the world? That is the question. So I'm going to stop here and hope that my fellow parents, have immigrant parents, have thought about, because now some of us have grandchildren. So we need to start thinking outside the box as well of how to help our own children who did not grow up in the heartland like we did, who embraced so many other cultures. How do they leverage what they have for the sake of their own children that they have? Okay, so that we can continue this cultural part while also not losing track of what else that they have. It's really a big task, because our children and the ones they're bringing to the world are at crossroads. Thank you so much for listening. Please subscribe on YouTube. Please make comments on YouTube. I am also on Instagram and TikTok. Please, on Facebook, you can give me stars if you like what I'm doing. And keep those thoughts coming. A lot of you have written to, share topics that you want to talk me to talk on. I'll be glad to do that. But I'm getting gradually into that. I got so many things on my plate, so my podcast is not a daily thing. I do a lot of research into them, and so we still stay at a few per month. But I thank you for always following, and a lot of you are beginning to do that. Thank you. Stay cool, and remember the spirit of Ubuntu. I am, because we are. This is Dr. Marcellina and Diaspora saying sayonara.